Good morning and welcome to this edition of Top of the Morning. My name is Ken Whitco. On today's show, enjoying open spaces in your community requires a lot of work and attention to our community parks. What does that entail? And a look at a special project that the Partners for Parks Committee has undertaken. Stay with us. Welcome back to Top of the Morning. The city of Lakewood enjoys 600 plus acres of parkland across 14 parks. The parks feature wildlife, beaches, playgrounds, sports fields, trails, and more. You might be able to imagine the amount of effort put in to maintain these parks, to say nothing of organizing all the activities conducted in the parks. Here to discuss these issues and much more is Mary Dodsworth, Director of Lakewood Parks and Recreation and Community Services. Welcome, Mary, to our show today.
Good morning, Ken.
Great to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Did you get the day off? You have to call the mayor, say, hey, I need a day off?
No. I'll be heading back to work soon. So.
Okay. You don't get a day off. They don't even let you get a day off when you have a chance to talk about parks and.
Every day feels like a day off when you work in Parks and Recreation.
That was a good one. That's good. So how long, speaking of working in parks and in recs, how long have you been at Lakewood?
I've been with the city of Lakewood almost 24 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're a pretty young city. We'll celebrate our 30th birthday next year. So we've been kind of building it from scratch.
So when you first started, did they have a parks department?
Well, when we incorporated, we inherited a park system from Pierce County. So they had changed their philosophy. So a lot of the parks were in pretty dire straits, kind of disrepair. So when I started, we just started repairing and cleaning things up and rebuilding parks for the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you didn't just wake up one day and now you're the parks director.
No.
What did you do before?
Yeah. So I've been Parks and Recreation for almost 40 years. So
wow.
So I was in the town of Steilacoom for about 15 years before I started with the city of Lakewood.
Oh, wow. I did not.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know that? I should have known that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that you're doing then. So the parks are really quite vast. A lot of work that has to be done. What does your day look like?
What does my day look like? Well, every day's different in Parks and Recreation, right? Because we're doing parks and community services, recreation programs, youth, adult, senior services. Besides park maintenance and repair, we're also coordinating community use, permitting, special events and activities. So every day is a little bit different. So we're working with people and partners and staff and just making sure that when you come to the park, it feels like we just set it up special just for you. So, and we work hard to manage all of the different elements of Parks and Recreation.
So when you first started there, did you sort of look at the parks, get out a piece of paper and go, I wonder what I'm going to fix? Or how did that work?
Well, when I started, as I said earlier, those parks were in kind of a state of disrepair. So there wasn't a lot of like irrigation systems that worked. There weren't a lot of, green grass. And then we also have waterfront beaches. We didn't really have programs and special events at the time because it was a fairly new city. So we looked at they had sort of a park and rec master plan that was kind of an inventory. So we just sort of opened it up and started looking at what did we need to take care of first, right? Safety issues were first to make sure that the areas were ready for the community to use them. And then from there, we just started looking for partners, looking for funding, and looking for grants. And every grant had sort of special criteria. So we looked at neighborhood parks. And at that time, we weren't managing Fort Steilacoom Park. It was still under the umbrella of Pierce County. So we started kind of tiptoeing into Fort Steilacoom Park to see what was needed there and if we could help support that development and growth as well.
So you mentioned the parks were kind of in disrepair, they were.
Yeah.
But there's quite a process of developing parks and something that is known as safety through environmental design. So maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, crime prevention through environmental design. CPTED is sort of a term. But what we do is when we're either updating a park or developing a park, we take a look at all these different elements to see how do you make sure a park is safe, not just for when you're going there, but driving by late at night. So you take a look at things like vegetation. Can you see into the park? Can people driving by or the police department see into the site? So you don't have areas where people can sleep or hide. When you have facilities, you want to make sure, like, where do the doors open and close? Playgrounds are a big part of parks, and so we have certified playground safety inspectors. So we go in and make sure that they're accessible, that there isn't anything that's somebody might fall or get hurt while they're using our playground. So we utilize lots of different elements to make sure that whenever you come to a park, again, that they're safe and ready for the community.
Mm-hmm. So aside from what you've talked about right now, is there kind of a major focus for Lakewood parks right now?
Well, every day we focus on kind of creating a healthy and vibrant community, and that's kind of our philosophy. So healthy and vibrant community means environmentally healthy, culturally healthy, socially healthy, and then economically healthy. So we take a look at the different spaces and see what might need to occur. And so it might be, if it's a neighborhood park, is it accessible? Does everybody in the neighborhood feel safe and like it's a park for them? For some of our larger spaces and like our waterfront parks, those are used more like a neighborhood park 9 months out of the year, and then in the summertime, they're definitely regional facilities. So how do you maintain them differently? How do you prepare them for, 100 people coming a day or 1,000 people coming today?
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways of taking care of those spaces.
So I always think about all the effort that goes in. When I go to a park, I'm just looking at it, I'm just thinking, this didn't just exist.
Right.
Like, there's an effort and a lot of people that have to make this work. And a lot of course, partners and people that you're working with to develop activities. And so some of the activities, super important.
Right. So I appreciate you saying that, because people come to a park or a big special event, a small special event or a big special event, and they think, wow, they just breeze in, they feel good, everything is in the right location, there's food, there's vendors, there's restrooms, there's activities and entertainment. So we work really hard for months and sometimes for years, depending on something like Summerfest, to make sure that all of those things are laid out in such a way so when you come, it just feels like we just showed up that day and everything is in the right spot. So it does take a lot of coordination with not just maintenance staff, programming staff, our police department, public works, depends on kind of the event and activity, to make sure, parking, getting in and getting out of the space. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. And then just the daily maintenance, when you show up to a site and the grass is green and the restrooms are open and clean, and all of those different things. So, and it happens. So at the end of the day, it is kind of frustrating sometimes because the amount of garbage that people leave, or if somebody does something naughty, we get in first thing in the morning and make sure that it's set up and ready for the next person to show up. So.
Should I ask, what do you mean by do something naughty?
Well, graffiti, vandalism, someone that decided that they were going to do something on a picnic table that, isn't you coming with your kids to have a picnic the next day. So we make sure that those parks are taken care of, and if there's something that needs to be fixed or adjusted so that, again, it's a great place to come play, we take care of that so that it's ready for you. And we really appreciate when we get, we can't be everywhere. We have a pretty small team, and so, you said 600 acres of land. We really like when we have friends, family, neighbors, they give us a call and say, hey, did you see this? Hey, I was over at the park and I saw this, so that we can address things really quickly. So
in the last minute that we have already, so you mentioned Summerfest, and then there's another really important, I think it's Fiesta Familia?
Yeah, so we have lots of different special events, and one of the things that we've done is to try and make, most of our events are all free, and we really want them to be accessible to the whole community. So with Summerfest is the big city festival, so that is July 19th, and it's entertainment stage, international stage, food, fun, vendors, something for everybody. And then from our events, we have our MLK walk, we have a Fiesta de la Familia, which is in September, really focusing on Hispanic and Latin culture. We have fishing events. We have lots of different events because we really want something for everybody. And we want the folks that are coming, you know, we're a very diverse community. 54% of the city's BIPOC, and we're really proud of that. So we want every single person that comes to our events and activities to feel like it was made for them and special for them and recognizes and represents them. So
Yeah, in the last few seconds, any major secret sort of activities or plans coming up for Lakewood? Or is it just maintaining what we got?
Well, we're maintaining what we have, but the council's really focusing on a downtown park. That's going to be something that we'll be talking more about in the next few years, and that would be creating kind of a downtown central area. And if you create open space for people to come, they will come, and then that can support economic development and other kinds of growth. So.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's probably the next big thing.
Good. Well, Mary, the time has already run out, and so we thank you for being with us. You're going to stay here, and we're going to go to it. So when we come back, we will take a look at a special project to restore a historical landmark at Fort Steilacoom Park in Lakewood. Please stay with us.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
There are a lot of words I would use to describe my daughter. Kind, strong, hilarious. When I think about how much she's experienced in her life, we can't help but be inspired by her every day. So really, we're the lucky ones. Learn more at adoptuskids.org.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
My dad showcased a sense of love that I never had before. It felt like it was something that I've always wanted. I mean, he's not only my parent, like he's like my best friend.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
Welcome back to Top of the Morning. Meeting the needs clean and safe and open spaces in our cities is often a top priority for officials. But what about preserving historic elements of the city? Is that important too? Take a look at this effort from Partners for Parks video.
This particular property was part of the Joseph Heath Farm, one of the first ones here in the Northwest. And the barns behind us, which is one of those targets of Partners in Parks, is important to preserve that part of history on this ground.
The park, Fort Steilacoom Park specifically, has this rich farming history, so we've got these great structures, but they need to be rehabilitated. They need to meet all of the safety codes so that you can access them. And so we're excited about restoring the barn so that it can be a gathering place for our community.
But this is probably the most historic, original buildings that are here within Fort Steilacoom Park. And so the goal has been set to revamp these parks and put them to public use.
So the H barn at Fort Steilacoom Park, this particular barn was a milking barn. So Fort Steilacoom Park had really big farming. We had horses, pigs, cows, turkeys, and so this particular barn was a milking barn. There's not very many opportunities where you can get out and learn more about the history of a site and actually interact with it. And so one of the great ideas for this facility is to allow people to see it, use it, and experience it, but also have it modern and safe so that people can access it.
I've always loved this barn, and in my brain, you know how you imagine what something could be. And I just thought what a great gift it could be to the community.
Well, there aren't that many facilities in the city of Lakewood where you can really have a large group gathering, whether it's a service club for a special event, private event for reunion or wedding, and then community events too, art shows, farmers markets, concerts. There's just a million different ways that you could use this barn. And the design and the ideas for restoration would accommodate all those different kinds of uses. But what we'd really like to do is to retain that rich history. The building is amazing. The interior could be restored to its previous glory, but also just to show the community what was here and to sustain it for the future.
I think parks are important to a community because they offer a different kind of outlet for people. You can go shopping, you need all of those things, but this is a place that you can just go with your family or by yourself and be out and in the fresh air and be part of something that I think enhances your life.
So there's lots of ways that people can find out about what's happening with the barn restoration project. They can go to our website and find out more. You can donate towards this project, a little bit or a lot. Every little bit will help.
It is worth our while to preserve them.
And what a tremendous video that was. And so to help us learn more about the H-Barn project, please welcome to the show the President of Partners for Parks, Sally Saunders. And staying with us is Mary Dodsworth, the Director of Parks and Community Services in Lakewood. Thank you both for staying with us and being with us. So Sally, you have been the President of Partners for Parks. Why don't you just tell us real quick, what is Partners for Parks?
Partners for Parks started out, a lot of years ago, early 2000, I think, after it became a city, of different people within the community that were interested in helping to improve parks and to do things that, made it better and come up with ideas, that type of thing.
And how long have you been on the committee then?
Since
start.
Since almost the start, yeah.
Okay. Great. And you guys, we're talking about H-Barn project, but we also know, or I should say, I know, that isn't the only project that Partners for Parks has done. So why don't you tell us a little bit about
Well, one of there's been a number of things that we've helped with cleanup of, when you get out brambles and bushes and things like that. But then one of the big things that we did, there's a little lake within there, and it was hard to access if you maybe had to push a carriage or weren't able physically because it was all different. And we got I'll call it a small, not really a road, but a wide walkway that was even and level, and we helped get that built.
Okay, so that was around.
That was.
No, I'm saying
around Wallhop Lake.
Yeah. Around Wallhop Lake.
Yeah, the trail around Wallhop Lake. So it was pretty degraded, and so that was a big community project. It's probably, besides the dog park, it's probably the most used facility at Fort Stolikin Park.
Because it's bicycle-acceptable. If you have a handicap, it's even, you can get around it. It's just for everybody has access.
Yeah, no, I every time I go there, there's lots of people walking around the lake, so it's really a wonderful thing. But let's focus a little bit on the H-Barn project. Okay. So why is it important?
Well, the H-Barn, first of all, is a very historical part of Stolikin Park. And I think that it's important in communities to preserve things that have significance. It was one of the barns, there's a number of barns there, that helped support the patients over at Western State, I want to say early 20s, okay, from there on. But they had cows, they had pigs, they did gardening, they raised turkeys, they raised their own food type thing. And it gave them, they weren't locked in a room. They got to go out and actually, one, learn something, and it gave them a sense of, I think, themselves, other than sitting there worrying about whatever it might be, because how we treated people psychiatrically then is different than now.
So did you have something to add to that?
No, it's just it was really important. Back in the 1920s, the governor, the state was having issues like many organizations do, and they said you need to be more sustainable. And so that's really where they started having the patients work for, with the land and the animals. And so it was really vocational education as well, because they got to learn about all the things that you needed to do to sustain a farming operation.
And it obviously defunct or whatever, went away at
They
some
stopped doing it in the 1960s, and I think there was just a change in how they treated, supported mentally ill
The
individuals.
psychiatric
And
changed greatly
the
during
therapies
this,
and things.
yeah.
And also, they were wondering, is it appropriate for patients to be, working on the farm? And although I think physically and emotionally it was really therapeutic for folks, but times were just changing. So about 1960, they stopped utilizing it as a farming operation. And then in the 70s, it actually became a county park. So that's how sort of the history of the site moved forward.
So we know, preserving history is a huge deal, right?
Yeah, and part of it is one of the barns collapsed completely. And so it's trying to maintain the other barns. The other barns were, for a purpose for the community and something that, will be for everybody to be able to use.
So right now you can't. Yeah, right now you can't enter the barns because they're just for storage, and they don't meet general occupancy building codes. Because they're old. They're all about 120 years old. So
like me,
like you,
like all of us.
Yeah, like all of us. So so part of this is to do the improvements so that then people can utilize the barns and go in the barn and learn about the history, but also utilize it for community function, right? For meetings and parties and events and classes and programs.
Because we don't have like a community center anymore in Lakewood, and this could serve that as a part of the purpose of it. And so many different groups, or if you wanted to have a wedding there, then it might be available depending upon the date you chose.
Yeah.
So that's a very important distinction, because there's other venues that can be used, but nothing in Lakewood.
Yeah, there really isn't a space that's kind of, the way that it's kind of schematically being designed right now is there's small spaces, small group activities, medium and large, but there really isn't a space for you to bring 300 of your best friends for an event or activity. Could be a fundraiser, could be a wedding, could be a church service, depending on what you're wanting to utilize the space for. There aren't really really aren't spaces in the city of Lakewood to handle those kinds of groups.
So there was a feasibility study done many years ago.
Yes.
Basically saying, can we actually?
Well, we started off with that because there was a couple of us that kept walking around the barn and say, wouldn't this be a cool place? And so we started talking about it, and we decided, first of all, you need to do a feasibility study because maybe it's not. And so that was done, and that came out positively.
Right. We asked the community, would you support this project and why? And so it was almost 100% people said yes, which you never get in a community, 100 people saying yes. But there were 3 different reasons why they wanted it. A third of the people said, really, we want to do the barn because we care about historic preservation. We're so grateful for that. A third of the people said, oh, we need a regional facility, so let's restore the barn and make it be available for regional purposes. And then a third of the community said, that sounds great. It could really be an economic engine for our community, but also to support park operations. Fort Steilacoom's a large space, and it costs money to maintain and to organize that. So historic preservation, regional facility, or economic impact. And so the development of this barn project will do all of those things. So so that's sort of the be a partner in the history.
So in 1 minute, we have 1 minute
Okay,
left.
all right.
Yeah.
Josh.
It's quite costly. $7.5 million is
Yes.
what I last heard. So it's a partnership with the
With the
public.
city.
With
It's
the
a
city.
private public.
How does that work?
Well, that works with, our group works with the city. First of all, we don't just decide we're going to knock this wing down and do it. We have to talk it over with the city, and we give what we suggest, and they give back what they suggest, and we talk about it, and eventually it will be turned over and the city will maintain it and run it. So we have to work together to do that, and so that's what we're doing. We need to raise so much money, and the city will then kick in the rest.
Yeah, so the city, it's a city building, and the city owns the building. So
Yeah.
Partners for Parks, which is made up of service clubs and all kinds of different partners, is raising funds to help offset the cost of the renovation.
Okay, so our time is up, and so amazingly, that's, I mean, it sounds like a great project. And when is the completion date?
Of the barn, well,
Yeah,
we have to
or-
raise the funds
Well,
first.
The funds, and so we're hoping that we will have our portion of the funds raised by the summer.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we're close.
Okay.
But if anybody has an extra $1 million they'd like to drop in, you know,
Yeah,
we'll take it.
it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. Let me check my piggy bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or $30 would work too.
Yeah,
You know,
okay,
whatever.
okay. I got that. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it. Anyway,
So
so-
anyway, you know, so and then the city will take it over from there, and not knowing what's happening in the world, okay, how that might affect the
The
timing.
timeframe. Yeah.
So we're crossing many economic
Yes.
things that happen
We're
all the time.
hoping
so.
within
Yes, yeah.
4 or 5 years-ish.
Probably not 4 years. If right
Yep,
now we're in
right.
schematic design, and if the resources come together, we have enough funding to do it, we could get started as early as next year and be
Okay.
done probably in 2027.
Yeah, so
Very good.
fingers crossed.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. We have to go to a break, so thank you for being here, and we're going to take a few minutes here and have some closing thoughts when we come back.
The average family throws out $1,500 of food every year. That's a lot. Imagine what you could do with extra cash. There are simple ways to reduce your food waste and increase your savings. It starts with a plan and ends with a little creativity, like turning your unused food into something new. Get tips to reduce food waste and make your dollar go further. Know the cost. Use food well. Visit the website to learn how.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell risk if they're taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, or harm if accidentally taken by a child or a pet. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop-off boxes. If there isn't one available, check the FDA's flush list. If your medicine isn't on the flush list, you can dispose of it in the trash. Get information to keep your family safe.
And welcome back to Top of the Mornings. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. If you would like more information about Partners for Parks and the H-Barn project, please visit their website at www.partnersforparks, that's one word, .net. This has been a production of the Broadcasting Video Production Program at Bates Technical College. If you would like more information about a career in broadcasting and digital media content creation, please visit www.basetech.edu/broadcasting. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ken Whitco. We will see you next time on Top of the Morning. Okay, so now they run the... Oh, they didn't. Go to black.